Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Andy Craig, the founder of Ad Habit Advertising, and today we have a special guest joining us. Please welcome Michael Erickson Facchin, founder of Ad Badger, an Amazon advertising agency and Amazon PPC software provider. Michael discovered the world of online marketing early in 2010, quickly fell in love with the challenges, rewards that it offers, and his company Ad Badger helps Amazon brands with their PPC software needs, done for you Amazon Ads Management, coaching, and sending Google Ads directly to Amazon. Michael aims to bring true automation tools to Amazon to improve sellers' workflows on Amazon. Today, Michael and I will be diving deep into leveraging software and tool stacks that help run Amazon businesses, including project management softwares, PPC softwares, research tools, image generation, and everything in between. So without further ado, let's jump right into it and welcome Michael Erickson Facchin to the show. Hey, Mike.
Andy, what's up, man? What a beautiful intro. Great to be here.
Thanks. This is one of many. Hopefully, that was the first one.
Right on. Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Awesome, man. Well, let's dive into it, I guess. Glad to have you. Can you tell us a little bit about, your story, how you got started?
Oh, man. I grew up playing a lot of real-time strategy games. I don't know
Hmm.
if anyone out there plays StarCraft 2.
I
But I
never have
just
myself.
it's just like fast-paced chess, which is like you versus somebody else, and like you all start with the same amount of resources, and you have to acquire resources and build your army up, and like you have to have the right combination of units, and like it's like rock paper scissors. There's like certain things that beat other certain things, so there's like a lot to figure out
Hmm.
in like real time, which I absolutely love. And honestly, I find a lot of that same satisfaction with digital marketing and entrepreneurship, because it's like, what's the next move you're going to make, and how are you going to make it, and how do you do that efficiently, and like is that the right move to make, and like how will you know, and like all those good things. So it's definitely not boring.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with a lot of that too, because like the coaching side of my business doesn't make a ton of money, but I don't charge a ton for it, but I love doing the strategy side of things, like looking
Hmm.
at the overall big picture. But all right, this is our plan. Here's a strategy,
Yeah.
right? And here's are the different tactics and actions that need to happen.
Hmm.
And I love helping brands do all that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so great.
Mhm.
Especially adding clarity to a situation where people are maybe a little bit lost. It's easy to give advice.
Do you do a lot of the coaching for Ad Badger, or is that some of your employees?
It's mostly employees. I
Mhm.
will, to keep my skills sharp and stay in the game. I definitely do get involved as much as I can.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'd be hard for me to step away from it. I've thought about like delegating it, but then I have an issue with like the control side of it. I'm like I'd be peeking in all the time. Is this
Mm,
is this going well?
yeah,
But sometimes you gotta just trust your employees that they know what they're doing.
of course. Hmm.
No. So what inspired you to start Ad Badger?
Oh man, so this is way back in 2017, where like there really wasn't the explosion of Amazon tools at the time. Like maybe there were like niche research tools around, but I felt like there wasn't a true PPC practitioner's tool available. I feel like it really there was nothing that matched the process that I knew made up good PPC optimization, and that's when I just started building.
Now, did you like start the done for you and the software at the same time, or which one came first?
Hmm. Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. So, in addition to Ad Badger, I also have a general, digital marketing agency for like Google Ads and whatnot. And I was using a lot of tools for Google and Meta ads, but for Amazon ads at the time in 2017, there really wasn't much. So I wanted to just sort of branch out and build a sort of a mono traffic source, like a vertical traffic source company. So Ad Badger is just focused on Amazon ads. And in terms of like the management, we were managing Amazon ads already. So it was just sort of a nice segue to, hey, like let's build just a Amazon PPC focused company. So they were sort of around at the same time. I think a lot of what we were doing services wise informed the software, which I thought was
Hmm.
which I thought
Yeah.
was immensely helpful.
Yeah, because, it's nice that the person building the software knows the ins and outs of running Amazon ads, right?
Big
It's very
time.
important. And and you could like find the problems and quickly make the changes because you and your team are doing it day to day, which is super cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
So let's just jump into it. I actually really quick before we jump into it, for those in my audience that don't know what Ad Badger does, can you do a quick breakdown of like how the software works and what it does for Amazon brand owners?
Yeah. Almost think of it like if you've ever seen those like super suits, like an Iron Man suit, or like they make them like it allows you to like lift something that's like 1,000 pounds, just like an exoskeleton type thing. So it's really just like an extension of the things that you would do manually anyway.
Hmm.
So what I think of the most easy example is if you have a search term that gets over 20 clicks without an order in 30 days, you could basically write that out to someone and say, hey, check my search term report every single day, and if I do have a search term that misbehaves like this, automatically turn it into a negative exact. And then add it to just the ad group that it was in, or add it to every single ad group that I have. It just allows you to sort of come up with your own perfect recipes on how you want to manage your campaigns, and then it does that for you. So it manages a lot of the heavy lifting for you in Amazon PPC, making you get better results in less time.
Yeah, and it gets rid of the human error of things as well. And
Right.
myself, like right now, if you ask me to add one negative phrase match to all my ad groups, like even with
Right.
bulk files, that'll take me forever. So it's gonna
Mm-hmm.
save a ton of time just
Yeah.
telling the machine to do it
Mm-hmm.
and just walking away and enjoying the rest of your day, right?
Right. And that's just one tiny piece. So it's like a
Hmm.
suite of all different kinds of tools, from bid optimization to bulk actions to data and analysis.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm pretty proud of it.
Yeah, honestly, the PPC software has like really changed the game for me. As I was learning this process, doing ads for myself, and then like let's get into the talk of when should people use a software? Like, at what point in the business do you think it makes sense for someone to upgrade to a PPC software or maybe upgrade from campaign manager to bulk files?
Yeah. So I love this topic. And it's a lot more nuanced than one would think, which is like, if I'm a company starting from zero and I launch my first campaigns, like what do I actually need to use? And I think it's very tricky to, like understand the needs, because I mean you have more options than just the default Amazon interface, bulk files, or tool. You can also work with a freelancer. You can work with an agency. You can hire someone to be your own personal contractor. You can hire a full-time employee. So like there's so many different paths for someone to go on. But I would say the times where I've seen Amazon PPC software work best, like our most successful clients, already understood their process.
Hmm.
So they already understood what they're trying to accomplish. And then they come and use our tool, and it's built in such a way that they can work that process. So I've generally found, as you get, use the default interface, understand like what you want to do, and then have conversations with providers of like, can your tool do this process? This is what we do. How would I do this faster or better with your tool? The times where I feel like people get a little frustrated is where they don't have a process. They sign up with the tool only to realize like, oh, I wanted to do something that the tool wasn't able to do, or something like that.
Hmm.
And if you think about it, any single tool, there's more things that it cannot do than can do. Like it's there's a million things that you could possibly do. And you want to find like the perfect sweet spot of the Venn diagram of like what you're trying to accomplish and what the tool can provide. And that's, I think, a really interesting point. So I would actually advise people to spend time in the interface, to realize some of its shortcomings, to realize like, oh man, I wish it could just do this,
Hmm.
or I wish it could just do that. And once you sort of understand your own process, that's when I think you'll really have a good time surveying tools and like finding a tool that is the best fit for you.
Yeah. And my team still looks at a lot of stuff like manually, not just to rely on the software to like update the bids and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but like the insights in the data analysis with software is just so much faster
Mm-hmm.
than even if you're great with pivot tables and all that, being able to just
Yep.
like open up a software and say, all right, this is this target, this is how it performed every single day over the last six
Mm-hmm.
months
Yeah.
with nice line graphs and all that. I think it's a game changer.
Yeah. Another thing that we do inside Ad Badger is we download and store data so that you can refer back to it for essentially forever,
Yeah. Hmm.
as long as you've been a customer. So, like, you download a search term report from Amazon. For whatever reason, you can only download it depending on the campaign type for 60 or 90 days or so.
Hmm.
And it's just like if you wanted to view how that search term did over the last year, you are out of luck if you didn't already request those because like the data gets purged from the default Amazon interface. So you'd have to download it all the time. Every month you'd have to download it, and then you have to combine this in a big sheet, and then eventually, run your big query or sort of, you know, you'd have to like put it all in. You build your own database basically,
Yeah.
so that you can scan through the search terms for more than 60 or 90 days, and you miss a lot when you're only looking at that short time frame.
Yeah, and with Ad Badger, like let's say you have the data and I want to look at this keyword, can you also like download that into Excel from Ad Badger?
Totally. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really cool. So that way, if people want to store it themselves too, they can, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
Awesome.
there are some people I know that do have their own internal database, and they just download reports from Amazon, ongoing and ongoing. So there's some people that have like built their own setups. The
Yeah.
issue with that is that it typically exists, offline, like it exists on their computer. So if you
Hmm.
wanted to go back in time and look at these long data sets and like make decisions on it, and then take action on it, a benefit of a tool is that it all does it in one space. So it's like
Hmm.
advanced data analytics. You can pull your conclusions out, and then you can also take action in the same spot, which provides efficiency and time savings.
Yeah, I completely agree. And we did that for the longest time. We would download reports every single month for the last month, download bulk files, and just so we could track the data for a long time. Once I got software, we kind of just slowly migrated away from it because we're going to keep the software for a long time, so I don't need to.
Right.
And it's downloadable if I ever decide to leave.
Yeah.
So really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond the PPC software, what other types of tools do you think are critical for Amazon sellers, to help them succeed, or just, that are necessary, you think, for Amazon businesses?
Yeah. There is so much to do inside Amazon that it's incredibly easy to forget to do something.
Mhm.
In fact, I would say that's the default, where it's just like, oh yeah, that report, I knew about that, or yeah, that screen, I forgot to check it because I didn't think it was important. So I think what is paramount to anyone working on the computer, regardless of what you do, Amazon seller or not, is to have a good project management tool.
Mhm.
To really find a good project management tool that you absolutely love. So I'm a big fan of ClickUp,
Yep, that's
but
what we use.
you don't necessarily need to use ClickUp. There's a ton of other ones, and you can also even use in a super rudimentary case if someone didn't have a project management tool and they wanted to start using one. A simple Google Sheet could potentially suffice, where you just have your list of tasks and like a little checkbox of like when you do it and like how many days it's been since you've done it. You could even use a Google Calendar where you're like putting tasks on your calendar and you're setting them to recur at certain intervals so that you don't forget things and you're staying organized. So like a Google Calendar or a Google Sheet, the easiest way to get into the habit of using a project management tool, because then you'll realize, like, you'll have a system and then you'll begin to realize, like, oh, the benefit of a tool like Asana or Trello is I can put dates on things. So it's not just a Google Sheet that like isn't interactive, or
Hmm.
like, oh, the benefit of a project management tool over Google Calendar is that I can see all my tasks at once in an organized way and I can sort and sift and filter them. So I'm a big fan of like doing things manually first, only to discover like your own vision for how you want that thing to work. Um, so I'm a
And
big
then
fan of
too,
it.
with like say ClickUp, like I think they have a free version as well, so like you don't even have to pay for it in the beginning,
Yeah.
I don't think. And then as soon as you go to delegate, right? Let's say you're
Mm.
growing, there's all these tasks that you do, you need to offload some, so you hire a VA or an employee, right? All you have to do is reassign them that task, right?
Yeah.
Easy. And with your Google Calendar, you don't want to give someone else access to that.
Right.
ClickUp's a lot better. You could just bring your team
Yeah.
right into the software.
Very well said.
All right, let's dive into some other stuff. So we got project management tools. I think probably a PPC research like the Helium 10, Jungle Scout, Cellarize. We use mostly Helium 10 and some Data Dive. What are some of your like go-to keyword research tools?
Those are the same.
Okay.
We have a Helium 10 subscription. We have a Data Dive subscription. Tried some others, but seem to keep coming back to that. We also have an Ahrefs subscription too.
Yep.
Ahrefs provides some information on like Google searches or YouTube searches or other components. It's really interesting. So on Google Ads, Google has their own official API, meaning you could tap in, like you can go use a tool official from Google for keyword research. You can type your website in and it'll give you potential keywords. You can type a competitor's website, it'll give you potential keywords. You can type in a seed keyword, it'll give you other keywords, and it'll give you official search volume straight from Google.
Hmm.
For whatever reason, this information isn't official from Amazon. So I would love, I don't know why they haven't, for Amazon to release their own like official first party keyword research tool where like, it would suggest, in a really effective way, keywords for you, or punch in a competitor and get keywords that they're appearing for. So
Yeah, like
interesting thing.
they've scratched on it a little bit with like the Opportunity Explorer, the
Yeah.
Search Query Performance Report,
Mm-hmm.
and like it probably wouldn't be that difficult for them to
They
just
got
say,
they got
hey,
it.
yeah, like they have all the data. They could even say, this is your listing. These keywords actually are affecting your SEO. These ones aren't, right? They have that
Mm-hmm.
information. Hopefully, eventually they'll, keep expanding things and
Yeah.
share it. I don't know why they wouldn't, but
Right. So yeah, the Product Opportunity Explorer is almost a reverse ASIN lookup
yeah,
where you punch in a competitor's ASIN and it'll tell you what niches it appears for and what keywords it appears for in that particular niche, which is pretty cool. And it'll give you weird date ranges for search volume. Like on some screens, it's like 360 days of search traffic. On others, it'll be like 190 or 90. It's just like, can you just give us monthly search volume, please?
yeah. And if you go into like brand analytics, search query performance, you'll see your, click and purchase share, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then you go to the top search terms, and then it's different there. It's like,
Yeah.
okay. I mean, usually it's pretty close, but still,
Right.
it's funny.
So yeah, so in a perfect world, we'd have our own. You'd be able to just get that information right from Amazon. And yeah, you're right. Like different screens you check or have different values, and
Yeah.
it's hard to piece
And
all
you got
together.
to dive deeper into like the back end and actually read what those reports are showing you to really understand the difference and why the numbers are different. But not everyone
Hmm.
is going to do that.
Right. So yeah, so that's the benefit of, again, we've been talking about tools. It's like so I mean, I still use those first party tools inside Amazon. I think everybody does.
Yeah.
I think everybody uses Search Query Performance. I think everybody should be using Product Opportunity Explorer. And in addition, there's other tools that, make life a little bit easier. Um, who doesn't have a Helium 10 subscription, right? So, using that as a keyword research component just to get new ideas.
Yeah, and jumping on the data dive too. Like I love their interface, and I love how easy it is to do that reverse ASIN and get a nice
Hmm.
list with the rankings.
Yeah.
Very easy to read everything and look at each different competitor. But I wish there was a ability in there to do manual keyword research, right?
Right.
Because my ASIN, let's say I have a supplement and mine has, cinnamon, and all my competitors don't. Like, how do I add the cinnamon keywords in there, right?
Right.
Like, I have to jump over to Helium 10 to do the research and then come manually at it, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I still have both,
Mhm.
And then they do have the keyword tracker, which I haven't messed with a lot. And there's Data Rover. We've been using Data Rover for the keyword tracker for a while, but now Data Dive has theirs. What's your, organic rank tracking tool?
Yeah. I've still been using Helium 10 rank tracking.
Okay.
Yeah, I've still been using it. I haven't checked out Data Rova, nor have I checked out Data Dive's rank tracking.
Yeah, it seems to be nice, but I've had some issues with it. I got to test it out again. But what I did for the Helium 10 one is I didn't like their interface, right? Because you could just
I
see
know.
today's, then you got to open up the trend line. So I just paid someone to make a quick macro or Google script so I can
Yeah.
download the history and then look at it every single day
Cool.
instead of having to open up the trend line for each keyword.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I hear that.
Yeah. I
I hear that
wish
for sure.
Helium 10 would just make it, a table where I could look at
Right.
daily.
List
So
of keywords,
yeah,
rank by day.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe switch it between daily, weekly, monthly, and
Right.
just trying to get that feel for it. So
Yeah.
awesome. Any other tools that you could think of that is important for the tool stack for Amazon sellers?
This is a boring one, but I would say like Google Sheets or Excel. I prefer Google Sheets, but like
I do too.
understanding how to download. We mentioned so many different kinds of reports. Understanding how to download those and put them. I like Google Sheets. Put them into a Google Sheet and then do stuff with it.
Hmm.
So like, take a report that was just for 30 days and like add it to another one that was for a previous 30 days and be able to sort of manipulate that data. I feel like it's so important.
Hmm.
So just Google Sheets skills, like understanding formulas. If anyone has trouble with formulas, cozy up to using ChatGPT or Gemini for formulas, where you describe what it is that you want to do, and it will help you with your formulas. So that's sort of another tool I think for every knowledge worker working behind a keyboard. Comfort with ChatGPT or any other, LLM conversational tool where you can just again help fill your knowledge gaps with how to do something specifically in Google Sheets. That's a good one.
Yeah, and we're both in the core community, encircled for a bunch of, how would you explain the core community? You might do a better job than me.
uh, so yeah, we're part of core community, which is, I describe it as the best Amazon marketing, Amazon PPC mastermind that I've ever heard of.
Hmm.
Where it's just like, it's clean, it's organized. There's nobody showboating. Everyone's there to learn something. Everyone's there to share something. Everybody's really generous with their shares. And like every single week, I'm learning something new. So we have a call every week. So yeah, it really is like some of the best, most talented PPC marketers that I know of. I learn a
Yeah,
ton
you're
myself.
you're a lot better wordsmith, so that was perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
So in the core community, like yesterday, we spoke about, downloading some of those different reports. We're always
Yeah.
going into, a lot of people are really good with the spreadsheets and the pivot
Hmm.
tables. And
Yeah.
what do you think from that call yesterday are the first reports that people should get into sponsored ad reports and download, right?
Mm. Yeah. I got to give it up to the classic search term report,
Hmm.
search term impression share report. It's the ultimate. It's the classic one about just like where you're appearing, how much you paid to appear there, how many clicks you got when you were there, what your search term impression share is, what your performance of that is. That in and of itself can serve as a fantastic keyword research tool and product research tool. I can't tell you how many times people have been looking at their search term report only to realize like, oh, somebody searched something that would be for a variation I don't have. And that's actually a great idea. And then they can use that to discover, oh, like there's actually a good amount of demand. Like, let me variate on my product. It's an incredible tool. So, got to give it up to the search term report, no doubt.
One report that, I don't get in my software is like a lot of the different softwares we use, I still have to go to Amazon for it. There's a lot of those. It's like the sponsored brand keyword placement report, right? So I'm
Hmm.
always going back to that to
Yeah.
figure out like, okay, what are my placements for sponsored brand ads? Because you don't have that same in the bulk file
Hmm.
and most softwares that I've used. What are some of those reports that like even Ad Badger, like you're running this, Amazon is constantly updating. What are some of those reports that you still need to go and download?
Yeah, I would say it's actually the reports that Amazon doesn't include in their API.
Okay.
And I don't know specifically about the sponsored brand placement, but like there's a bunch of data that Amazon has that they put inside their API so that you could use it in a tool.
Hmm.
There's a bunch that they don't put in an API for some reason. I don't know why. So like the biggest one that is not in an API is the search query performance report.
Yep.
which is crazy because that would be able to give you like search official first party search volume for how often something is searched. And that would be such a huge and like conversion share for every single one of the searches. It would be the coolest thing ever to include in an API,
Mhm.
and it's just not there. So yeah, you have to log into Amazon and go look at your search query performance report in order to get that because that's not in any tool.
Yeah, and most of the people I work with are brand registered. So anyone
Hmm.
that's watching this that doesn't have access to that, you have to have a registered trademark on your Amazon account, and you get access to that search query performance report through your brand analytics.
Yeah.
So I just want to cover that really quick. I love the tool. I did a call earlier today, and it happens all the time. I'll pull it up, and people still don't even know it exists a lot
Yeah.
of the times.
Yeah.
And I in the call this morning, I'm like, okay, this is one of the keywords that are driving most of your sales. I'm like, okay, your impression share on that keyword is 5%. And then we go through, look at the, click share, add to cart share, purchase share. Those are all at like 18, 20%. The purchase share was at 22. I'm like, how do we rank higher on this keyword? Let's turn that impression share up, right? And
Yep.
it was really easy to see it. And what we like to do is we're downloading it and running those different checks on where we have a high purchase share, where there's opportunity to increase our
Yeah.
impression share, and it's a great tool.
Yeah, I mean, just the other day we did an activity in Core, which was I was just clicking around through Seller Central, and I was just opening up basically every single tab,
Hmm.
and there were like 85 reports. So like search query performance is just another report,
Yeah.
and there's like 84 others. So it's like where it's no surprise that some of these things are missing out of people's day to day.
Yeah, that was a really good call in core, like just going through with the group every single report that we might have. And what's nice about core too, to jump back into that, is there's so many of us that are, PPC, Amazon PPC providers, right? We're literally each other's competition, but everyone is just sharing all their different strategies with their competitors, right? We're like, there's plenty of work for everybody. Let's give our clients the best results by sharing our strategies with each other,
Hmm.
which is really cool.
Yeah.
How do people get access to Core?
Well, we do this thing where there's only 4 weeks a year you can sign up, and the reason why we do that, I don't know if you noticed, but like we have like classes where it's just like we recently had class 2, so we actually had it open. You were actually part of the founding group where we didn't let
Hmm.
anyone else in for like a year because we just wanted to like get into the routine of like what it looks like. But yeah, if you go to corecommunity.io, you'll get in there and there's just a waiting list for so like 4 weeks a year. It's like once every quarter. And the reason why we do that is so like everyone can come in and like uh be oriented at the same time as
Hmm.
opposed to people just like trickling in all year, which I feel like is a weird, it's like hard, right? It's like hard to maintain and like welcome people and like these are our values, this is how we operate. So we chose to do it that way, and I think it's been working pretty good because the new
Hmm.
people, the class 2, are vibing and meshing exactly with all the existing members, which is exactly what
Hmm.
we want, which is why we like curate this group the way that it is. So yeah, I would say it's been pretty cool to do it that way.
Yeah, that's one thing every single week that I just don't want to miss, right?
Hmm.
Is that call, because there's always something else I could learn with Amazon ads and
Yeah.
the talks in there. Even like I forget who it was a couple of weeks ago. He went into SEO and we're talking about, okay, how often are we changing our titles? Which most people are
Yeah.
scared. What was his name again that
Shout
covered
out
it?
Dan Head.
Dan had, yeah, it was Dan. So I'm like, now I'm thinking more. Okay, maybe we should experiment with
Yeah.
changing our titles a little bit more. So I
Mhm.
shared it with my team, and then we're bringing that into our arsenal, which is really
Wild.
cool.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Love the core community.
Hmm.
So I guess the next thing we could jump into is we have a lot of different types of Amazon ads, right? We have the sponsored products, we have the sponsored brand, sponsored display. And with a lot of these newer ad types, Amazon is requiring us to also add some creative to it.
Hmm.
What do you think are some great tools to get those custom images and videos going for sponsored brand and sponsored display ads?
Yeah. So design is something that I don't feel confident with myself. Like I don't consider
Hmm.
myself a pretty strong design person. And I feel like when you talk to somebody who's like a true designer like works on computer and like designing things all the time. It could be like night and day. So I wanted to talk about like the AI tools that have come out. Um, Amazon has their own. There's others that I've tried, and I feel like if you're not a designer, it's still going to be hard to get a good image,
Yeah.
to recognize what a good image looks like. Because like out of the box, currently these things they like look like an AI image. They like don't look great, and design does matter. So like looking good does matter. And it's hard to get, I think today it's very easy to get a mediocre or worse image, but I still think it's hard to get a great image from any of these AI image generators. Uh,
And like you said too, I think the more you already know about photos and images, the better you're going to be with AI because you could explain
right.
what you want way better, which I'm also terrible at.
hmm
So,
Right. So I'm still an advocate of like finding a designer to design
mm-hmm.
creative. Um, just because it's night and day. So like the
Mm-hmm.
designer on our team, uses Canva, and
Yep.
Canva has AI capabilities in it. And I just feel like it's another tool that a good designer can use as opposed
Mm-hmm.
to a tool that's going to turn someone who's not a designer into a designer. Like, yeah, you can make an image, but like it's not going to be as good as if somebody has an eye for it. So I'm still a fan of getting a designer, and I'm still a fan of, if I were giving designers some feedback, it would be to definitely utilize and lead and see what value you can get out of these AI tools, like boost your own workflow.
One of the things for me, when I started like making my own content for the products I've sold, but also making my YouTube content, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna start YouTube soon. I'm gonna start YouTube soon. And I'm like, I gotta learn video editing, but I kept just not doing it because I didn't really want to learn.
hmm
And just hiring that editor and graphic designer
Yeah.
changed it for me. So now I could do what I want, and just like we're doing here, just record any mistakes that I made. There was a few of them already. Shout out to Josh, who's my video editor. He's just gonna come in, fix it, and he's the expert, and I could just focus on what I already know and what I'm
Mm,
best at. Just cool.
totally. Yeah, you have to, because you really, and it relates back to Amazon tool usage or like hiring someone to do Amazon. You need like time and energy and like motivation to want to do something. Like you need
Mm-hmm.
an innate interest to do it. So even still, like, using an AI editor, like, it still takes time. Like, do you actually like to do it? It might make it easier or faster, but like if the motivation's not there, like it's just going to be a grueling process.
Yeah, and what I liked about the software too is I could do spreadsheets. I'm not the best at it, but I don't really like it, right?
hmm
So I would rather just analyze the data instead of
Right.
learning how to put it all together. And that's where I,
Yeah.
jumping back to the software is what I really like.
Yeah. I'm a
It,
big, one of my big principles is like, if you are a person who looks at reports and make decisions, you should not be building the report. Like that should
yeah.
be two separate things. Like, so like
Mm-hmm.
whether you are going and downloading it or you're using a tool, like that report should be sitting there waiting for you.
Yep. Yeah, we have an admin. So we have our regular PPC, managers, and then we have a PPC admin that puts together the reports, gives it over to our PPC
hmm
managers that are the ones that analyze it and
Yeah.
make decisions based off of it. So Josh, he's my video editor. He also is my graphic designer. He's going to be doing this, and he makes a lot of our images and edits videos for our clients, optimizes listings. Great at it, and I just leave it up to him. I don't know how much he uses the AI, but I know tools that we use for like image generation. Same thing. We got Canva. I think he uses Photoshop. Going into the video editing, I do like the script. I've been doing a little bit more
hmm
shorts on there. And the nice thing about the script is I could edit it like with the
hmm
video. I could edit it with text based for
Yeah.
like this kind of interaction. But when it comes to like product videos, it doesn't really, it's not the tool for that one. So.
You have to break out Adobe Premiere or something.
Yeah. And that's what my editor
hmm
uses. So
Yeah.
well, really cool. Any other topics you think we should cover when it comes to tool stacks for, Amazon sellers, e-commerce sellers that they should be looking at?
I think that, the calculation is really like, if something can save you an hour a week, how do you value your time? So, if there's an Amazon seller who, makes $200,000 a year, what is your effective hourly rate? And I think that you don't want to be, you want to be, of course, thoughtful, but you should look for those opportunities to, add a cost with an ROI on it. So, for
Hmm.
example, if you're taking 4 hours a month to do a certain thing, or potentially taking no time at all and not doing it, what is the cost of not doing it? And then, of course, what is the cost of those 4 hours a month? And then if you look at that and you say, okay, well, those 4 hours, that's like $1,000. Should I pay $80 a month? Should I pay $200 a month or $400 a month to a tool to do that, to save, potentially 900 or $600? It's like, say yes to those things and like find those efficiencies. If you find yourself constantly explaining to your team about like what to do and when, invest in a project management board. So look for those efficiencies. And then I think too, it's like, what is the goal of the company? Because if the goal of the company is to grow, become more efficient and more effective over time, you know, automate or outsource those lower value things and then add more high value things. So like the job of any good entrepreneur is to go and find more high value things to do and like slowly increase your value add to your company.
Yeah, and to build on that too, like when let's say you're not getting a tool, but you're getting a person,
Mm-hmm.
right? That person is probably going to do it better than you, possibly, if they're an expert in that and you're not. And let's say they do it 70% of you, right? Still, they're going to be able to devote a lot more time to it,
Mm-hmm.
probably, than you are.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's like the next thing. They're going to do a better job. You're going to be able to focus on something else
Mm-hmm.
and make sure it's done. And then, you can fill out more stuff for them to do, delegate more processes.
Yeah.
As I started getting employed from 20 hours to 40 hours a week and moving up from there, it's a game changer.
Yeah, of course. Like, how could you possibly expect to grow when you consider yourself the very best person to do everything on the team?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, that's not a game plan, right? It's like you have to find people and like build them up and like, help them develop their own secret sauce and then put that into your company. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you need to, it's vital for any entrepreneur to do.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Last tool I might say is a good tool for looking at your profits on Amazon, right? Because Amazon doesn't make it easy to figure out when you're going to get paid, what your actual profits are, all the fees. So I've heard a lot about Seller Board. Getting into what's your go-to tool to pull in all those fees and look at what the bottom dollar is at the end of the day.
Yeah. 3 places. So we have a Seller Board account, we have a Merchant Spring account, and people don't know this report exists, but there's also a SKU economics report, which is which is literally a P&L report.
I actually, when you went over that in Core, I think it was yesterday, I didn't know it existed.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really cool. Another shout out to Core for that one.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, 3 places you can get your P&L information and look at that bottom line profit. And begin to use that, as you do your marketing efforts. How is your revenue and your cost and your bottom line profit all being impacted?
One thing with some of my clients with like actually getting profits from Amazon is they don't want to share their COGS or their manufacturer with Amazon, because Amazon is known to launch Amazon Basics and their own products. They tend to be a little bit weary about that one. So definitely. Yeah, I love those tools. Love them all. I think this was a really good one. For the audience that's watching, how do they find you and find Ad Badger?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Michael Erickson Facchin. You can find me at adbadger.com. You can find me at searchscientists.com. You can find me at corecommunity.io. Do a lot of stuff.
Awesome. Perfect. I'll put links in the description below for Ad Badger and for all those different resources you said. Thank you for coming onto the show today. It was great talking to you.
Absolute pleasure.
Wow, what an insightful conversation. A big thank you to Michael Erickson Facchin for joining us today and sharing his experience on leveraging software and tool stacks to run successful Amazon businesses. It's clear that with the right tools and strategies, sellers can achieve amazing results and streamline their workflows. If you found this discussion helpful, make sure to check out Ad Badger for more information on their automation tools and how they could help you and your Amazon business thrive. Drop a comment below if you have any questions, topics, or guests you'd like us to cover on future episodes. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Stay tuned and happy selling.